Hey, welcome back, Flip Flops, to another episode of Chuckspub's Fireside Chats. Pull up a chair, grab a hot cup of coffee. This is going to be a crazy story. It was about the time where I actually asked myself, did they send me to the wrong country? But before we get into that, let's rewind the clocks back to 1989. I just finished up my freshman year of college, and as a member of the Navy ROTC unit, I was tasked to go spend 1 month on board a U.S. Navy surface combatant ship. In this case, I was assigned to go spend the month on board the USS Buchanan. Sounds simple, right? Well, unfortunately, this midshipman cruise was anything but simple. The U.S. Buchanan was a Charles F. Adams class guided missile destroyer. Its hull number was DDG-14. My orders were really simple. I was to fly into Muscat, Oman, land around 11:30 at night, and then I'd be greeted by officers of the ship's wardroom. Unfortunately, when I landed, there was nobody. I was alone in a foreign country, late at night, $100 in my pocket, and a Navy sea bag that screamed, "Hey everybody, I'm an American." Now let's remember, this is 1989. There were no cell phones. There was definitely no Google Maps. And I had no way of contacting anyone outside of the airport that I was currently in. All I had was that gut feeling, oh crap, now what am I gonna do? So the first thing is I said, I gotta find someone who speaks English. So I went over to the nearest Hertz car rental front desk and I asked the gentleman standing behind it, "Hey sir, I'm trying to meet up with the USS Buchanan. Do you know how I can get a hold of him?" Well, the guy from the front desk is like, that ship left 2 days ago. My heart sunk and I said, 2 days ago? Now I was really panicking. What am I gonna do? Now to his credit, the Hertz front desk operator was a real lifesaver. He said, "Hey, let me give you a ride to the Holiday Inn in downtown Muscat. Then you can call the US Embassy in the morning." I was like, okay, that sounds like a great plan, right? Well, that's when things started getting a little sketchy. They walk me out to the car, I throw my sea bag into the trunk, and I climb into the back seat. I look over my left shoulder and I see the front desk operator and the car driver laughing and then shaking hands. The driver climbs into the car, and just before he starts the car up, 3 other Omani men jump in. One's in the front passenger seat and 2 on either side of me. No explanation, just get in, slam the door shut, and the driver takes off at high speed into the dark desert night. Now again, picture this. It's pitch black. We're going down a long, curvy road, and I'm thinking to myself, this is it. I'm getting kidnapped. My Navy career is going to end before it even starts over. Thankfully, I can see a glow of the city lights of Muscat, and the driver successfully brings me to the front entrance to the Holiday Inn. I jump out, no ransom note, no kidnapping, just a very stressful car ride. At the hotel, I scraped together $74. Thank God it wasn't more than that, and I secure my room for the night. I then asked the front desk of the hotel, "Hey, would you mind getting the phone number to the US Embassy? I need to make a phone call." The front desk attendant kind of looks at me kind of like, okay, sure. So after about 5 minutes, he gets the number, he dials it on the phone and hands me the receiver. I pick up the receiver, I'm listening, and the phone rings about 10 times and no one answers. So I hang up, the front desk operator or attendant says, "Hey, why don't you just go to your room, get up in the morning, then you can call them then." So I said, all right, it had been 24 hours. I was extremely exhausted, so I go back to my room. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm abruptly awoken by the prayers being blasted over the speakers at the local mosque. Startled, I get dressed and I run down to the front desk and I try to call the embassy one more time. So after being startled awake by the morning prayers, I quickly throw on my clothes and I run down to the front desk. I ask them again if they would be willing to dial the number to the U.S. Embassy, which they do, and again, they hand me the receiver. But this time, I hear an answer on the other side. It's the sound of this gruff sergeant major who says, "U.S. Embassy, how can I help you?" So I proceed to tell him who I am and what I'm doing, and he proceeds to laugh so loud that it was hurting my ears on the earpiece. He said, "Son, how in the hell did you get in this country? We're the only ones who authorize entry, and you have not come up on anyone's radar." Before I can even explain to him how I thought that was possible, he says quickly, "Don't move, go pack your stuff. We're going to come get you right away." An hour later, while I'm sitting in the hotel lobby, in walks a middle-aged American-looking man who introduces himself as Sergeant Major Sullivan. He says, "Midshipman Grossi, let's grab your bag and let's get you over to the embassy." So we get to the embassy about 20 minutes later, and I find out that, in fact, yes, the Buchanan had been in port, but it was 2 days prior, and they had gotten underway and were now in port in Bahrain. The embassy staff told me that, "Hey, don't worry about it. We're going to get you on a flight later this evening up to Bahrain. In the meantime, we're going to assign an Air Force airman to give you a tour of the city and take you out to dinner before you get on your flight." It was wonderful. That evening, I got on my plane, flew up to Bahrain, and once I got off, sure enough, there was members of the U.S. Buchanan's wardroom eagerly waiting to greet me as I walked off the plane. Fast forward a month, I completed my 30 days on board Buchanan and was flown over the aircraft carrier USS Constellation with 3 other midshipmen who happened to be on the Buchanan at the same time I was. The intent was that we would go to the Constellation and we'd catch a plane ride over to the Philippines, and then we would then go from the Philippines back to the United States. During our stay on board the aircraft carrier, they walked us around, gave us a tour of the ship, and took us up to the flag bridge where the strike group commander was sitting, observing flight operations. We introduced ourselves and went around to each one of us, explaining who we were and where we were from. After I explained that I was Midshipman Grossi from the University of Idaho, the Admiral stopped, gave me this dirty glare, and said, "You're the son of a bitch that got me into a lot of trouble, aren't you?" I kind of was startled. He started to laugh and grin, but I'm sure it made one hell of a midshipman cruise, wasn't it, son? I looked at the Admiral, smiled, and said, "Yes, sir. Yes, it was." So that's how I started my Navy career, by sneaking illegally into a foreign country. Again, lessons learned. Make sure you always double check your orders before you take off on government travel. Thanks for tuning in to Chuckspub's Fireside Chats. If you've enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and stick around because I've got a lot more stories to tell. Cheers, everyone. See you next time.